All right. Did it start? I think it did. Shout out to you for making it this far. Very happy to see you here. Shout out to you for taking that next leap towards formalizing your music career. If you're here, you're probably an early stage independent artist looking to really understand what it takes to make a career out of your music. Um, the fact that you made it this far proves to me and it proves to yourself that you're willing to invest in yourself and your education and your knowledge and in your own future. And that is something you should be very proud of. And I'm very proud of you for making it this far. Um, my name's Will. I'll be your leader, I'll be your guide on this journey. Ultimately, I'm just a student sharing his own homework, sharing my own notes with you. I don't want anyone to feel like this is me preaching at them, but understand that it will come off that way at certain points throughout this course. So just bear with me. We're going to jump right in here. The Bible of Flow, Sonido Menta program by me. All right. Keyboard got stuck. Why most independent musicians stay stuck. You're working hard, but nothing is compounding yet. That is not a talent problem, it's a foundation problem. And the good news about that is that the foundation is exactly what this program installs. Sonido Menta is the name of a project I started 2 or 3 summers ago. And the Bible of Flow is the culmination of everything I've learned within this project so far. And I am here now to present to you everything that this project has taught me and everything that I'll be able to share with you regarding how to take the next step in your music career. All right, this bubble's in the way. Let's see. Cool. The core problem I've seen when speaking to a lot of early stage independent musicians is that when I ask them what their biggest struggle is, what like keeps them up at night, they usually share that it's marketing tactics. And sure, marketing's difficult. Marketing is not always the simplest task. A lot of super talented artists throughout all of history, and at least in the last 100 years, didn't make it super big because they just didn't understand marketing. So that's fair. But underneath that marketing struggle that most artists have communicated with me is something a lot deeper. And what I've identified is that the problem is misaligned identity and fragmented strategy as a whole, as a system. Most of the other programs that you may participate in, choose to purchase, choose to become a student of, will start with tactics. They'll jump right into the marketing tactics, branding stuff, like little automations you can plug in, how to, connect with X, Y, and Z and reach out to X, Y, and Z. That's all fantastic. Do all of it. Educate yourself tremendously, exponentially, in as many areas you seem fit. Ari's Take Academy is going to be tactic heavy. Modern Musician will be automation heavy. Fantastic. But this course is not for that. Those tactics will collapse when identity and lifestyle are misaligned. And I am here to start at the root. The mission statement: I, Will Garay, I, Mint God, help early stage independent musicians stop spinning their wheels and build a real career in music by installing the identity, habits, and strategy most artists spend years figuring out alone without selling out their artistry. All right? The overall outcome that you, as a participant, as a student of this program, is to understand how to get your first 1,000 real fans and a repeatable way to earn money off of them from your music. A real fan to me, a real fan in this system, is someone who is willing to pay you money to continue watching your success. Someone who's willing to trade their money to support you. That's a real fan. Anyone else who listens to your music, but they're not willing to throw a couple dollars your way for something, is just a listener. And having listeners is fantastic. We are looking for listeners too. But a real, true fan is going to be somebody that wants to spend their money with you to make sure you can move on to the next level in your career. That's what a fan is for. So here in the Bible of Flow program, we want to retrain your brain to really break down and establish the identity, psychologically, the identity and habits you will need to build to execute the best strategy to make money off of your music sooner with less mistakes and less struggle. Okay? I can't guarantee you any results. Your results will be determined by your effort and your ability to execute what I'm sharing with you. But I am here to guide you and to put its whole series of educational value underneath you, so that way if anything falls along the way, you're not falling back to a square zero. You have a much stronger foundation to understand where your mistakes have been and how to proceed from there. Okay, let's move this bubble again. God damn. This course will consist of a 6-module framework, step by step. Don't skip ahead until after you've already done this whole curriculum one time, at least. My best advice is to go through everything you see here, all of the modules, at least one time quickly. Just go through it quickly, at your pace. And then from there, go back, do it one more time with notes. So you really, really internalize what we're talking about here. And then after that, after you've gotten all your notes, you can go back to the chunks that you really want to double down on, dive deeper on. Maybe you do everything one time in a month, second time takes you 2 weeks, and that third time you want to jump back, to specific problems in your branding, specific problems in your habits, specific, challenges, I should say, you're seeing. All right? But go through everything one time quickly, one more time with notes, and then that's when it'll really make sense, okay? We start with identity recalibration. The first half of this is going to be very psychological. We're going to start with identity recalibration. Who do you think you are? Let me move this a little bit. Who do you think you are? And what does your subconscious mind truly believe you can succeed? What does your subconscious mind truly believe you can achieve, I should say? A step further than that is your lifestyle design. Where do you have time leaks? Where should you be applying your effort and your energy to maximize your week, to be able to set real goals and achieve those goals to get further in your career? And then another step further than that is how to establish your creative strength and resilience. Creativity is a muscle that must be exercised. It will get stronger the more you practice, but it's about determining who you are. How can you set up your life to make time to really go do the things you say you want to do? And then how do we go be the most creative we possibly can within that time that we've established and allocated? It's the first half. Then the second half of this course is all business acumen. All right? Frameworks, business frameworks. Why? Because the first half is psychological. We're retraining you from square zero, ground zero, the rubble. Then once we have something up and running inside your head that's actually making sure you're doing work, we can prepare for how you present yourself, which is your branding. How do you get yourself in front of eyes, which is your marketing? And then how to turn those eyes into dollar signs through your fan engagement and monetization strategies. Branding is how you present yourself. Marketing is how you get yourself in front of eyes. Monetization is how you convert those eyes into money that will support you on your journey. Okay? This is the sequence. This is a sequence I have not seen, not broken down this explicitly. It's very simple. It truly is in this order, but it needs to happen up here in this order in these 6 steps. Every artist ever has gone through this, whether they know it or not, whether it's been broken down for them or not. Any artist that's made money off of their music did this, whether they knew it or not. I'm so certain of this framework that I've created this to make sure other people are educated on it. Uh-oh, I hear people approaching. Why this order matters. I've just described this. Psychological components, business strategy components. Psychology first, strategy second, and then we can determine results after that. But everything starts with how you prepare your mind through identity, lifestyle, and your creative muscle. Then we can focus on how do you communicate who you are, how do you get yourself in front of an audience, and how do you turn that audience into paid support. Proceed. We're going to build the internal version of you that follows through. That's identity recalibration. We're going to shed the self-limiting beliefs, and we're going to establish true confidence. But true confidence comes from action. How do we create action? Removing friction. Friction is anything that happens psychologically that slows you down, that makes you second guess yourself, that gets you confused enough to slow down. In almost any part of life, we don't rise to the occasion. It's not human nature to rise to the occasion every time you're faced with a challenge. It is human nature, however, to fall to your floor when there's a challenge. Okay? What does that mean? We need to raise our floor. You won't always rise to the occasion, but if you keep raising your floor so that way success is your baseline, it's so hard to lose after that. Challenges will continue to occur, but if your floor is almost already up here, there's only so much left to be done to make sure you stay on track. Your creative operating system is what will be built in this process, a repeatable weekly rhythm for output and improvement. This is stuff that we can measure. This is stuff that we can put out and get feedback on and continue to iterate upon. And then after that's established, we go into our branding, marketing, and the fans that compound. All right, guys? And gals and they thems. Again, the result. You'll wake up knowing what to work on and why you're working on it. You'll build real relationships with the fans who will actually show up for you. And you'll stop wondering if a career in music is realistic, and you'll be able to start building one. Again, this is more like a gym membership than anything else. You will get out of everything I share with you exactly what you put into it. If you go into this with the right attitude and willingness to work, you will understand exactly what I'm trying to teach. But if you're half-assing and you're lazy and you make excuses, this isn't going to work for you. And that's okay. Whatever you like, hold on to. Whatever doesn't resonate throughout this course, discard. Take and keep what works for you. With that alone, you will move to a new floor. Okay? This is an invitation to artists who want to build something that lasts. Again, we're talking career as an independent musician. What is a career? Sustained income for years. We're talking multiple decades of income straight off of your music, things that you've created. We're not looking for virality. We're not. We're building longevity. If, what does that say? Yeah. If that's the artist you're becoming, you're in the right place. If you're an artist that's looking to build something that lasts, you're in the right place here. If you're looking for virality, I promise you, you will not go far. Why? Virality is not a goal, not at least a final goal. Virality is a tool. Virality is a momentum swing. A real goal from this course, from this educational curriculum, is to have everything set up and in place for that way when your viral moments strike, for when your viral moments swing, you're prepared to capitalize off of that momentum and take it a step further. Okay? That's the vision, that's the goal. All right. That was 15 minutes about what is going on. Okay. I hope that made sense. If it didn't make sense, start over, send me a message. I'm accessible in multiple ways. Don't be a stranger. Now it's a little bit about who I am. I am William Garay. I often go by Mint God. That's just been my alter ego for a few years now. It's just what I like to call myself on the internet, at least, and on some, walls around America with, paint markers. We're gonna talk a little bit about my origin. I guess let me move this bubble one more time. I don't even know where to put it down here. How does this work? All right, we did it. My parents had me at 16 years old in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I am from Bridgeport, Connecticut, born and raised. 22 years of my life spent there. Um, I was a super gifted student. I was a very, very sharp student at a young age. Grades were so like easy to get an A. Like I had almost no trouble in school. Um, I just like it was just simple for me. I studied aerospace engineering in high school. I wanted to be an astronaut. At like 13, I was like, I want to work for NASA. And I went to an aerospace engineering oriented high school. And I quickly realized I don't like physics. Don't care for it. I don't care for thermodynamics. I don't care for vectors. I don't care for force. I don't care for R values. No. However, around that same time is when I really got introduced to art. I picked up a guitar around the age of 13. I found a guitar like in my garage, picked it up, tuned it, taught myself, five or six like little one string riffs. And after that, it was just, an adventure of my own. At 14 years old, I got into t-shirt design. I taught myself Photoshop, or at least digital editing, on Pixlr on my school issued laptop. And then from there, I ended up just taking a community college, what's it called, graphic design course, where I learned formally like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and all that stuff. And then I started just designing t-shirts and selling them out of like a duffel bag in high school for years. Actually, it's it was super fun. And like being like a class clown in school as well, I found myself really enjoying making people laugh. And at 17 years old, the day before my senior prom, I went and did stand up at a Stress Factory Comedy Club in Bridgeport, my hometown, for the very first time. And I continued performing stand up for years. Actually, performed again recently, just had an open mic. I really love stand up comedy. I love art. I like art, and I like performing, and I like showing people what I can do. And it's a fun journey for me to have been able to explore art. After high school, I ended up getting a full ride to a UConn School of Business, full academic scholarship, I should say. Unfortunately, COVID happened in my second semester, and I got sent home. I ended up finishing that online. That kind of shook up my vision for my future. in high school, around the time that I decided I wasn't going to do engineering anymore, I shifted my whole focus to music industry marketing. My whole vision was like, I want to be a marketer. I want to help, you know, artists find their community. I want to work for like a record label and all this extra bullshit. And I went to school for marketing. I got my bachelor's in marketing management. But with COVID, I just didn't build the network that I thought I could build in college. I didn't understand that part of the game. Um, and I ended up graduating school and having no like solid plan, no next steps, not doing at least what I wanted to be doing. What ends up happening? Um, my mom moves to Puerto Rico uh, the same month I graduate from my undergrad, and she goes to pursue her doctorate out here in Puerto Rico. And I ended up staying, living with my dad, or at least in my dad's house, for about a year. I was working as an online uh, online card dealer, online blackjack, and a baccarat dealer. And after like 10 months of that, I was like, literally, fuck this. I'm not doing anything good. I'm not even using my degree. I applied for the MBA program at the University of Puerto Rico Rio Piedras campus. Literally on the last day to apply, got accepted 3 weeks later, booked my flight, and moved to Puerto Rico 3 weeks after that. And at the time of recording this, I actually just graduated my program like 2 weeks ago. Um, and moving to Puerto Rico to start school was a fantastic decision. And during my like second semester at my MBA program, I found myself an internship with Endeavor Puerto Rico, working with high impact entrepreneurs, specifically like startup entrepreneurs and, you know, upper echelon corporate business. And I learned how to scale small companies, you know, 5x, and how to expand globally. Um, in working with startups, I learned a lot, and a lot of what I'm going to be sharing with you later on in this curriculum about business strategy specifically are frameworks that I learned in consulting with and working directly with startups and startup founders. Excuse me. So, this little collage on the right, I'm going to move this bubble one more time, just highlights that whole journey. This is me with my parents at their high school graduation. I was a little less than 2 years old here. This is one of my best like pop-up collections with t-shirts like right after high school, like first year of college. This was my me playing guitar with my high school band. Um, Me in DC with some like nerd friends. Me with some comedians. This is dang, what's this guy's name? Ricky Lopez, I think. This is Chappelle Lacey, and this is Julio. These two guys are Pete Davidson's friends. Chappelle Lacey's like low key super viral now. I love Chappelle Lacey. He's like a punk rock, you know, black comedian, super dope. This is Phil Post over here, founder and owner of Dirtbag, who's based out of my hometown. My homies, the designers at Dirtbag, Kenny and Money 23. It's my. I should probably update these pictures. This is my bachelor's program, picture. This is me at school here in my master's program. This is me performing stand up. Some corny ass picture of me in front of a rainbow. And this is my team here at Endeavor, Puerto Rico. I'm actually in my office right now recording this video. That was a little long winded, but that was my story. I'm going to rally along here. Did I move the bubble? God damn. How do I move this bubble? Jesus Christ. The bridge. Music was never a hobby, it was a North Star. For years, I knew I wanted a career in music. And then in 2024, after having worked with some startups for a while, I realized or I noticed something that was missing. Artists lack systems, and founders have systems. What I just described before, I work with startup founders. Founders of businesses, founders of companies have systems, at least the ones that succeed. They have systems put in place in order for them to succeed. Here in this curriculum, I will be bridging that gap. Sonido Menta as a company, the Bible of Flow as a curriculum program bridges this gap. In consulting with my startup founders, what did I find? Fundraising strategy, customer acquisition funnels, North Star metrics, growth frameworks. How does this relate to independent musicians? You also need metrics, positioning, and audience systems. In supporting high impact founders scaling 3 to 5x and mapping out exactly how they'll do that, their acquisition funnels, the money they'll need to get those customers, that capital that's raised, that same series of systems, that same relationship between founder and business can translate the same way to artists if they're educated on doing so. The way I see it, record labels now operate like investment portfolios, like venture capital, private equity, they will put their money, record labels will put their money behind artists who have already proven traction. They're not putting real money behind potential. They'll need to put money behind things that are already actually working, which means artists like yourselves, if you're watching this, must build earlier momentum to increase leverage in these opportunities, to have leverage in these deals. Understanding business and legalities will help protect your rights and your income. All right. In this course, I won't be teaching legalities. There's other resources for that. And if you want to talk about it, I can help you find them. But I can teach you some real strong business fundamentals so that way you're not effed over in the back end. Labels are choosing to sign artists who are already showing traction on streaming or socials. Okay. Legacy um, case studies, Brent Fayez, Russ, and La Russell. Brent Fayez was an early, super major win for the streaming era for independent artists. Brent was independent for mad long. I remember discovering Brent in 2016, basically 10 years exactly, with AM Paradox. Freaking banger EP. Russ with his SoundCloud era, one song a week strategy. Amazing, super freaking smart and tactical, and very well thought out. La Russell, whose music I like significantly less, but he still made it happen for himself. And all of these artists went independent for very long until they had the proper leverage to collaborate with bigger companies. But it took understanding their business and building the traction to be able to protect themselves once those bigger companies came knocking so they could accept a deal that was fair on their terms. In this course, at least in the first module or so, I will be going into something that's referred to as metaphysics. This is where things get a little woo woo. This is where things get a little spiritual, potentially religious. I want you all to understand now, I don't want to impede on religion. I try my best not to um, conflict with traditional, institutionalized religion. I frame all of this way because art is inherently spiritual, and in creating art and in pursuing a career in art, there is a spiritual component to it all. And I also think a lot of things in life are art and a science, and art and science almost always go hand in hand with metaphysics as well, in my branch of philosophy. I've studied identity, behavior change, and creative psychology. And ultimately, what I've learned is that beliefs shape actions and actions shape outcomes. Okay? Your beliefs, your internal architecture will shape the decisions you make. Naturally, the decisions you make will shape the outcomes you see in your waking life. Okay? This is very simple frameworks, but they need to be reframed a few ways for everyone to understand. And I'm just giving you a new way to see things. The overall lesson that I've learned is that your internal standards shape your external results. What does this mean? Your results are shaped by what you believe is possible, what you repeat daily, and what you tolerate. If you can change your identity, your new behavior will become consistent. But it starts with how you perceive yourself, how your subconscious mind perceives you. What I'm getting at with all of what I've just said is this: I don't teach spiritual aesthetics. That's not the game I want to play. There's other people that can do that. I'm teaching you part of it. I'm giving you practical identity change that shows up in your actions, your outputs, and your results, okay? This is the integration that changes everything. And that's why this program works. When tactics only courses have not put business and development in collaboration with identity philosophy. It's tandem. What influenced this method? Let's move this damn bubble again. These are the books, some of the books I've read on the way of designing everything that I've been talking about. All of these books I've read in the last 24 months at least, most of them multiple times. Excuse the one picture book, but I think it's extremely relevant. This series of literature, amongst other things, helped craft my philosophy on identity and behavior change, creative longevity, and marketing and monetization. Amongst my formal education, this is just my personal interests. There's religious text in here, there's philosophical text in here, there's spiritual text in here. Further than that, there's creative frameworks, creative exercises that get brought along from The Artist's Way and The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Um, Also, The Art of Learning taps into some creativity. Perennial Seller, fantastic book by Ryan Holiday, also taps into creative thinking. And then there's just like raw like business psychology that gets involved here. The Trick to Money is Having Some by Stuart Wilde. Influence the Psychology of Persuasion, Start with Why. Um, Very, very philosophical books about business. Fantastic literature. I recommend all of these to you. Why did I build Sonido Menta? Over the last 24 months, I've had structured conversations with over 45 early stage independent artists or acts. Some of them were bands. Um, and the pattern became very clear. Um, Talent as an artist is not the bottleneck. Alignment and systems are. A lot of untalented people can get pretty damn far in music. You've seen it. I'm sure there's people you've personally seen that you've said to yourself, I'm better than them. I can't believe they've done X, Y, and Z already. But I've been doing this for longer. You know, I've been doing music for 6 years, but someone who's only been doing it for 2 years got, this like concert or festival placement, or got to perform at this venue, or got to do this, spot on some influencers, whatever the fuck. That's not because you're not talented. It's not because they're more talented than you, but their mental alignment and their like business oriented systems were just better than yours. And this is going to help you eliminate that gap and distance so you can go achieve what you want to achieve. All right, bubble moving once more. Bruh. This is so corny, bro. All right. Who this is for and who this is not for. Again, we've talked about it already. This is not for overnight success. This is not for shortcuts. And this is not for virality chasers. Those are all fallacies. And if it comes quick, it can go quick. This is for serious artists who want to build a real, long term career in music. This is the start of a music independence movement, not just another course. Please understand that. All right. This is for serious artists who want to put in real work to make sure this lasts a long time and they can make money for a long time off of this. This is going to conclude this intro. If you sat through the whole 35 minutes, I really appreciate you. This is just my credibility summary to wrap things up. I got my MBA, Master's in Business Administration from Puerto Rico. Speak two languages, English and Spanish. I learned Spanish out here in Puerto Rico. I grow and scale high impact entrepreneur. I grow and scale with high impact entrepreneurs at Endeavor Puerto Rico and my day job. I've had 45 plus interviews with other independent musicians. That's the research that backed this curriculum. I spent 8+ years studying digital marketing and like audience psychology, consumer psychology in my like formal education. And then also outside of this, I'm a creative guy. I'm an active creator myself, and I apply these same exact frameworks to my own platform. Um, Thank you so much for getting this far. Thanks for listening to me ramble a little bit. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next module where we will kick things off. Peace.